Hello everyone, welcome to another video with me. Now in this video we're looking at another past paper question, and this question is taken from the CAPE, that's the Advanced Proficiency Exam, Building and Mechanical Engineering Drawing, option A, and this is the mechanical engineering version, and this is unit 1 paper. Now this paper is taken from the year 2026, that's May-June 2026. All right, and we're going to be attempting the first question in that sheet. I want for you to stay tuned and keep a close eye on your notification bell for all the questions that will be coming out on this paper. Now let's get into things. So here is the first question. This is the first I'm going to be attempting it. So we'll have a good feel of what it was like to do this question in the exam. Now, it says that section A, module 1, geometry. Alright, it says answer all questions in this section. Figure 1 shows two cranks. That's here and here. Those are the two cranks. So that's AO and BQ, which oscillates, means that it's as a rotation motion about Q and O. So these 2 points here are fixed, meaning that they don't move, all right, respectively. Crank OA oscillates in an anti-clockwise direction, so it means that it's going this way, all right. And here is the crank mechanism. Now here's what it wants us to do. It says trace the locus of the point P, which is right here, the midpoint P right here, of the connecting link AO. Alright, and now it's giving us the dimensions for this here, as you can see. So it's saying that AO, which is here, is 450 millimeters, and it says BQ, which is this one here, is 675 millimeter, and this connecting piece here, that's AB, is 375 millimeter, and they're giving us some angles here, but this is not important. All right, we won't need it because all of this will be moving all over the place whenever we start to trace the locus. All right, the main thing is that we need to capture the length of these exactly how they are. Now this question is worth 20 marks, and we're going to be tackling this question here. I'm not sure how long it will take us, but let's see how things go. So let's now make our way over to AutoCAD, where we will kick off this drawing. Now that we're in AutoCAD, let's now reproduce the given figure. So first thing we're going to do is go to our object layer, and we're going to draw these lines here. So we're going to start with line OA. So that's going to be an horizontal line that measures 450 millimeters. Then we're going to go down to draw line AB, which is 375 millimeters. Then we're going to go to our right, and that lines measure 675 millimeters. Next thing we're going to do is that we're going to label our points. Let me go to my annotation layer and turn on my text tool there, and let me draw my text box, and then I'll start entering the labels. Now currently text size is set at 3. I'm going to change that to 25. Then I'll enter O. Alright, and that is point O right there. Let me just shift it into place. Once I shift it into place, the next thing I'm going to do is copy it to the different locations to represent those other locations that needs to be labeled. So for example, here that should be point A, somewhere along here, which is going to be point P, here point B, and over here point Q. I'm now going to edit these texts to the respective letters. So this one here, which is Q, all right, this one here, which is B, and we have this one here that should be P, point P, and then the next point we have point A. So we have point A now. Alright, wonderful. We're now going to add a little marker or a little tag, a point to these respective locations just to kind of show them up a bit more. So I'm going to type point on my keyboard and press enter. Then I'll place a point here at, let me turn on ortho for this, point O right there, point A right there, and then the midpoint, which is point P right there. We also have B at the end there, and then finally we have point Q. Alright, next thing that we're going to do, we need to um, have something that we're going to use to represent the different screenshot points of this mechanism as it's rotating, because as we know, point Q is going to be fixed, point O is going to be fixed. These points will not move. The only portion that will be moving is these points along here. So this entire AB line here will be moving in some direction. Point OA here, well, they say that it moves in a clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction, so it means that it will be going up and around this one here. So if this one is going up, it means that this is actually pulling everything down here up in here, if that makes sense. All right, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use a circle, and this is my technique of doing mechanism questions such as these, or mechanical tasks such as these. I'm going to have a line that will represent this here, basically Q, B. All right, so it means that along this line here, or this circle here, that is going to be point Q, and then we could do the same thing for point OA as well. All right, wonderful. All right, so this rotates in a clockwise direction, and not clockwise, anti-clockwise direction. Now the next thing that we're going to do, similar to how you'd have learned how to do any form of loci, is that you're going to divide your circles into equal number of parts. The more points you have, the smoother your curve, but again, this is AutoCAD, so your curve is going to be smooth no matter what. So what are we going to do? We're going to go div and press enter. Let me change the color of this here. div, press enter, and I'm going to divide this here into, let's go with 12 equal parts. And I guess we could do the same thing for this here, but it's not really necessary. We can focus on this one here. All right, everything will be tied to this here. All right, so we're going to be, so basically point A here is going to be tracking along these points here, going all the way around. All right, so for example, this would be A0, this will be A1. So let me go ahead and see if I can work some magic here and just go through and label these points. So again, this will be point A1, if you want to think about it like that. This will be A1. All right, I wonder if I could do a case. All right, wonderful. All right, and then now the next point would be A2, which will be right here. So we'll edit this and we'll put, instead of A1, we'll have A2 there. A2. All right. So I'm just going to go around the circle and I'm going to label the respective points A1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Label the circle or the points around the circle A1 all the way through to A11. This one here will be 0 and 12 at the same time. I'm not going to label this one here because everything on this will be dependent on this one here and where it is located, or where on the clock this arm here is located in time. So for example, when it is, say, from point, let me turn on OSNAP here, from point O to point A1 here, where will this line here be touching this circle? That's what we want to find out. So all I'm going to do is that I'm going to use my arc tool for that. I'm going to be using my arc tool, and I'm going to go ahead and select the one that says center, start, and then endpoint. So I'm going to go click on that one there, and the center would be right here at A1. The start point is going to be the length of this line here, AB. The length of AB is actually 375, so I'll enter 375. All right, so 375, 375, enter, and then I'll simply just draw my arc like this. All right, now anywhere the arc cuts this line here, that's where A or B1 is going to be on this here. All right, so let me just go ahead and clean this up a bit so you can actually see what I'm saying. Clean off here, leaving only this portion here. All right, so that's where it cut it. Let me just copy this here, CP, and then we place it right here, and that is actually point B1, if that makes sense. So that's point B1 right there. So if I were to go ahead and I were to draw a line from, say, point B1 to A1 there, all right, the center, wherever that may be, right here, that is where point P will be located now. So if I go ahead and I copy these here, CP, enter, and I place a copy of it right where it's supposed to be, right there. So this point here is now P1. So P1 is located right there. All right, so the next step now, let me shift this out of the way a bit. Move. All right, so that's point P1. So now we can do the same thing now for A2, because remember it's moving in an anti-clockwise direction. So if we go to A2 now, so from point 0 or point O to point A2 now, and if we were to do the same thing now and draw that arc, so we'll start here, click, enter the length of line AB. Line AB is 375, so let's enter 375, 375, enter. All right, and then we draw our little circle like that. If you realize it does not, what did I say? It does not touch this point here or this circle here. So it means that um, this is where things will stop. All right, this is where things will stop in terms of like the rotation. All right, so what I'm going to do now, let me just draw a line from point Q to B1 right here so you can see. All right, so while this is going up like that, so from 0 to A1, this is also going up as well. And as you can see, we already track point P from here to here. All right, so it means that it's actually drifting around now. It is drifting around. It's drifting around to that side. All right, well, what can we do now? This now, it will, once it gets to this point here at A1, it will start coming back down. All right, it will start coming back down now. All right, so what am I going to do? Let me just mirror this across here. No, let me delete this here. So drawing a line from O to 11 right there. All right, and then now our arc here, and then the length, let me turn off ortho, the arc, which is 375. All right, coming around. All right, that's where it's going to be, and that there will be B11. So that's B11. So B11. All right, wonderful. And I can always just draw my line from Q to B11. All right, and then from there to right there. All right, and then point P11 will be somewhere along here. Let me just find P11, CP. That's right there. Let me move point B, put it right there. All right. So this is point P11. All right, so that's point P11. All right, so if we're going to trace this point now, all right, we'll be able to see the little curve that it will form out, and it will basically be moving in that pattern up and down, over and over, and that is point P right there. So let me go ahead and use my spline line tool. I'm going to draw it on my object layer. So starting at the top P1 here, then making our way to this center here, and then here. All right, where's my dynamic tracking? So all right, cool, then enter. All right, so that is the true curve. Let me see if I can make things a bit bolder, so things, let me change the color of it for at least here. That is, come on. All right, so change it to red. All right, so that is the path that it will follow. All right, so not very complicated, because it will not go any further than that. Because let me first show you something. If I were to draw another one somewhere along here, let's just see that if it's rotating. What's it again? 375. You realize that, oh, that's where it will cut this circle here. So we have an extra point there. We have an extra point, so I guess we can add that. So from here now to there, and this will be 11. All right, cool. So we have an extra point on it. So now we're at P10. CP P10. All right, wonderful. All right, so we have an extra one there. Let's see what P9s look like. P9 will look like, or A9 will look like. What's the radius? 375. Enter. No, so that's where it stops. All right, so let me match some properties. All right. So this one here will be sorry, it will be B10 right here. Let me turn off O snap. This one here, and this will be 10. All right, wonderful. So it means that we will have to, let me redo this and redraw my curve. So draw spline line from point P up here down to P in the center there, then P11, and then this will be P10. oops, I accidentally selected the wrong one. So P11 and then P10. Alright, so I believe that will be the curve. Alright, somewhere along there. Alright, so that's the curve. Alright, let me go ahead and put this on the different layer, which is, well, not layer, but change the color of it. So that red line there will be the path that it will travel. Alright, so if I were to copy this and put it out in the open, it will have that little weird shape there. Alright, so that is what it will look like. Let me go ahead and see if I can fix it up a bit. As you can see, it passes through P11 there. This one here is P10. So once you would have done this, you'd have gotten your marks. Alright, here we go. Alright, so that is how we'll tackle something like this. It doesn't travel all the way in anti-clockwise direction. It goes up a bit and then it moves back down. Up a bit and then it moves down. And as it's doing that, point P is taking this weird path here. Alright, it's taking this path here. Alright, now if we were to go ahead and check on these measurements here, so for example, this here, you realize that all the measurements should be the same. Use a line, so from here to here, as you can see, 675. Alright, because these measurement has to be the same from here to here. Should be 4 something, 450. Yes, it is. And here, for example, here to here, as expected, 375. Alright, so it won't go any further than this based on the mechanism that is here. So this is the path that it will travel. Alright, so all you'll have to do at this point is simply lay out your drawing. Zoom in a bit. And let's preview. And that is what it will look like, something similar to that. Alright, you'll probably have to increase your dimension size, and that's it. Now if you found this video helpful, don't forget to go ahead, leave a like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll be looking at another question on this paper here. Take care.